Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. It's Shep Hyken here, and we're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio. Very excited because we have Dave Carruthers, who is the CEO of Voxpopme. And I'll tell you more about that company in just a moment. Before we get started, a couple of quick announcements. If you've listened to the show, and I know you have, you know what they are. If you've got an amazing story, please share it with me on any of the social media channels. And if you have a question, use the hashtag AskShep, and I'll answer the questions you send in either there in the social channel, and whether it's Twitter, Facebook, you name it, I'm there. Or you can, you might hear the answer right here on this show or my TV show, which is Be Amazing or Go Home, that can be found on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Prime, C-Suite TV. And you can go to beamazing.tv. That's beamazing.tv and watch episodes there. We have some amazing interviews with authors, experts, business leaders. I hope you join us there as well. So with that in mind, let's jump into our interview. Dave Carruthers, as I mentioned, is the CEO of Voxpopme, and I learned that that is actually the pronunciation is Voxpopme, but the definition is voice of the people. In what language, Dave?
In Latin.
Latin, voice of the people.
As much, but,
Voxpopme. Yeah. All right. So you learn more than just great customer service ideas here. You learn foreign language as well. We do it all on Amazing Business Radio. Seriously, Dave, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
And if you can't tell, Dave has this amazing accent. He lives in Park City, Utah. You can tell by the accent, right? Where are you originally from?
Yeah, so I grew up in England for 32 years, and then moved to the US about 6 years ago as part of the growth and expansion of Voxpopme.
Wow, and I just want to know, what got you to Park City? Just because it's so crazy beautiful out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing place to live and raise a family, and was always kind of into snowboarding and mountain sports. And we actually, Salt Lake and Utah has become a bit of a hub of customer experience. Obviously, Qualtrics are based here, and in Moment, and a couple of other companies as well. So we had a couple of partnerships with companies in the region, and moved out for a year to expand the business, and was supposed to go home and convince my wife that we should stay for a couple more years. And just recently got the green card. So very much kids are in school and very much all in on US life.
Well, congratulations. So let's talk about Voxpopme and what we can learn. We're going to talk today about something called voice of the customer. Now, this is a term that's been bantered around for a number of years, but it's basically listening to what our customers are saying. And your company, Voxpopme, Latin for voice of the people. I wonder what the word customer is in Latin. Probably not nearly as exciting as the word me, but I love it. So really what we want to hear about is voice of the customer. So let's start with this question. Simple. What is your definition of what voice of the customer is? VOC.
Yeah, so I think as you say, it's been bandied around a lot and kind of misused for a while. But I think really it's that overall ability to hear directly from the customer about all aspects of their experience, their journey, in order to make continuous improvements to kind of all areas of that experience. So I really think if done right, it should be a huge guiding force for any business.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to give your company a plug. And that is that I believe that there aren't many solutions like yours out there when it comes to gathering feedback. There's lots of ways to get feedback. And by the way, you mentioned Qualtrics is in Salt Lake City as well, which is one of the great companies out there that specializes in doing surveys. But what makes your solution different is that it's video-based and not like your typical survey that goes out. So share with us some insight to that.
Yeah, I mean, what we really thought about is, all customers want to feel heard. They want to feel like their opinion matters, and that they're not just kind of providing feedback which goes off into a black hole. And many times, and I'm sure many of the listeners have all they've stayed at a hotel, they've bought a new car, whatever it might be, and they get asked to take a survey, and it's a lot of questions, a lot of pages, and 30 minutes later you're still going. And what we really wanted to do
by the way, I zone out. I zone out usually after 3 questions these days, but I used to give, if I love a company, I'll take the 15-minute survey unless, and it drives me crazy, they ask it again the next time I'm there, and again the next time I'm there, and that drives me crazy, and I just won't answer it.
Yeah, so I think what we've done is we've over-indexed on surveys, and don't get me wrong, surveys are a fantastic mechanism for capturing feedback and kind of aggregating that, and that quantitative measurement is, you can get charts and trends and really kind of analyze the data. But if you really want to understand our consumers, and the genesis of the company was the brands that were going to win were those that could really understand their customers the most, the ones that could get close to customers. And we see it time and time again. Lots of data comes out of the surveys because it is all numbers and kind of line graphs and things like that, senior executives and stakeholders ignore it. All of a sudden, you've got a 3-minute video clip of 10 loyal customers all talking about the same problem and their frustration with that part of the experience. It creates empathy. And when empathy is created, that helps to drive action. So I do think that by using video, we're humanizing feedback. We're making it really, truly the voice of the customer rather than the survey of the customer, and really trying to amplify the customer's voice across everybody within the organization.
Yeah, and ultimately, you think with video, it's voice and face, but what your solution does is fascinating in that, number one, it's push the red button to record, and it prompts questions for you to answer. But what's really cool is that you're using artificial intelligence to take those answers and put them into the right places, the right categories, the right ratings. You're also getting verbatims, which are the exact words that customers are using. And again, these can all be separated and divided and sent to the appropriate departments, people, and leadership that needs to hear this information the right way in a very quick and easy and painless process.
Yeah, 100%. I think what we saw with video, it just solicited that richer response from customers. When you compare just that text box on a survey, you'll maybe get 3 or 4 words. With video, we're getting 45 to 90 seconds. People are being really articulate about what it was they loved, what it was that was a challenge for them, what it was. You think about interactions with customer support agents and things like that, being able to actually articulate what the problem is. We've seen clients able to deal with clients faster, delight clients better, because now they truly understand what the problem was.
Yeah. Is there an issue with privacy with this solution?
Yeah, I mean, privacy is always a huge concern, and a growing area that there's more and more interest in. And I think with everything that we're doing, it's always opt-in. It's always something that someone can choose to do. So with that in mind, if someone would prefer to remain anonymous, they can choose to leave text, so they're never forced into doing the video. And then obviously with all the kind of laws around GDPR and data retention, we're compliant with all of those as well. So I think the benefits definitely far outweigh the privacy concerns. And I think the best companies in the world are meeting customers where they are and allowing them to provide feedback in a medium that matters most to them. Some for it might be video, others it might be SMS chat, some it might be Discord groups, email. I think that's the big challenge for CX practitioners right now is there's so many channels of communication, so many channels of interaction with a brand. Is how do you provide a consistent brand experience across all of those?
And that was actually going to be my next question, was like the biggest challenge they have, especially in learning what their customers are thinking, is that there's so many different channels, so many different ways to go about getting data and information. Let's see. I would say I was going to ask you what's the very best way, but I'm sure that you would say video and Voxpopme. But seriously, let's take the top 3 ways to gather insights from your customers. What would they be?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're thinking about gathering that, I think anything that can be in the moment is key and critical, like real-time feedback. And the reason is because the longer the time period elapses between giving the feedback and the experience, the more it kind of blurs into a kind of overall thing. So anything that allows for real-time feedback, then I think it's flexibility. So again, it's, as you say, yeah, we were big believers in video, obviously that's kind of a given, but I think it's more about giving the choice back to the consumer when they can give feedback, how they can give feedback. Again, a lot of this is kind of transactional, hey, you just did this, and we're not we're not learning, right? As you said, Shep, you get the same survey the next time you do it, and the same survey again, and it's like, well, haven't I just answered this? I've told you what I know. So I think it's real time, it's flexibility, and then I think it's about that evolving to, we're seeing this big trend of personalization, but we haven't really seen that in CX, right? We're all still getting exactly the same survey. So how can we start to take what I already know about you and the experiences you've had and what maybe didn't work in the past, or, maybe last time you thought X was bad, and how do you feel about it now? Has that improved? So I think, evolving that. And I think just a level of sophistication right now. I think many CX customer experience practitioners are struggling because they're stuck in a kind of measurement only mindset. It's let's just measure this. Well, the role of the job isn't to just measure stuff, it's to drive change, to improve customer experience, not just to measure customer experience. So as you start to improve things, you can start to justify more ROI for these programs, because you're showing actual kind of business impact, rather than, hey, we're spending a lot of money to tell our executive team the NPS score is 58.
I love the idea of the personalization. I won't tell you the company, but their initials are Clear. Okay, and who is Clear? Clear is a company that I absolutely love. They are the ones that allow me to go to the airport. Yep. And because they have my information on file, they can do a retinal scan, and I get to cut in front of all the long lines at TSA. They are also expanding into arenas and things like that. But here's what I've learned. Every time I use Clear, I get a survey. Every time. Or at least it seems like it's every time. Good news is that survey is extremely short. Okay, so, it's probably less than 20 seconds. And I appreciate that, which is why I'm more compelled. But wouldn't it be cool if they said, hey, it's been if they are able to see, I'm traveling. Well, I was until the pandemic anyway. I was traveling every week, and now I'm back to traveling quite often. I think they can see, hey, it's been 10 times since you were last with us. We're just checking in. How do we do the last time? I would be really inclined to answer a personalized ask like that, more so than getting one every single time. I go to my car dealership and they send me the same darn survey every time. And it's a long one. Okay. But if they said, I know you've answered this before, the questions are different, please take a few moments to do this, I would be more inclined. Just the idea of personalization, which is a great takeaway. So thank you for that.
Cool. Yeah. I think the car dealership's a great example. That was one of my big frustrations and led us to setting up this medium. Was, I purchased a car and got that long survey, and all of the questions, I was like, okay, next page, I'm sure it's going to have the question about the thing that I really felt passionately about. I got, through question 67 and hadn't been asked it. There's an opportunity to really share my biggest frustration. And, this is a large ticket item purchase. It was like, it was coming at it from the wrong way. It was all about what they wanted to know, rather than what I wanted to tell them as a customer. And I think that's where we've got it wrong right now.
Right. Hey, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to go back to number one on your list, which is timing of the survey, when the right time to do that is. And then I've got some other questions. We are talking with Dave Carruthers, the CEO at Voxpopme. We're talking about surveys, and his solution is about video survey, which is really cool. But we're coming right back after this short break. Don't go away. Hi, Shep Hyken, your customer service and experience expert, and I'm excited to tell you about my new book, I'll Be Back, How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. Now, this book is packed with idea after idea on how to, just as the title implies, get your customers to come back. In the book, you'll learn that repeat customers aren't always loyal customers. Now, both are great, but there's a big difference. You'll also learn about 10 reasons a customer may stop doing business with you and 3 reasons you would stop doing business with them. And one of my favorite lessons is a 6-step process for creating an I'll Be Back strategy. Of course, there's much, much more. You'll start getting more of your customers to say, I'll be back almost immediately. Just go to www.illbebackbook.com. Again, that's www.illbebackbook.com.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We're back on Amazing Business Radio talking with Dave Carruthers, and we're talking about surveys. And we just got finished hearing from you, your 3 thoughts, timing of the survey, flexibility in how you deliver it, and the customer receives it, and they get to choose. Do they want to do the video? Do they want to do it by typical traditional click a box, text, whatever? We give them a choice, and your great idea of let's personalize it so they know that, hey, since your last time you were here, or we know you're a regular customer, we're not sending you the same survey, allows people to really understand that maybe they know who I am and they are listening to me and paying attention to me. But I want to go back to timing of the survey. This is a question that is asked. I get asked all the time as a customer service experience expert, like, when should we send the survey? And when is too far? When is too close? There was, I don't know if you saw this recently, and I'm not going to mention the brand, it wouldn't be fair, but there was a woman and her granddaughter staying in a hotel. And in the middle of the stay, they rated the hotel and they gave it a 3 out of 5 star rating. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about this?
No, I haven't seen.
You know what happened?
No.
The hotel kicked the guests, the grandma and their daughter, out of the hotel for giving them a bad rating. And they actually, she thought it was a joke. And then the police knocked on the door and said, ma'am, the hotel wants you to stay somewhere. And apparently just complete miscommunication. It's like she called to complain that the toilet wasn't flushing right and that this was wrong and nothing was getting done. And so she went on and she rated them. And then the ownership or management said, look, we're going to give you your money back, but you got to get out of here. We don't want you here anymore. It was one debacle after another. Anyway, I digress. When is the right time to send a survey?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think it's as close to that moment of truth or the key part of that experience that matters. I think with that hotel example, I think it's a great idea to have a survey sent in the middle of the stay, right? Is everything okay? Are we performing? Because at that point, if you do it when I've left, like I've already had that bad experience.
Right.
And often, how many times have you had a bad experience with a restaurant, but they've gone out of their way to make it right? And overall, despite a slight hiccup maybe at the start, your kind of score of that restaurant is probably still an 8 or a 9, even though if you'd have been asked at the point where it went wrong. And often the times, we're all, and I think COVID has made us a lot more accepting of different things and struggles and labor shortages and things like that. I think we're all, at heart, good people who, want to see have good experiences. And if someone tries to do the right thing, even if something didn't go right first, we're appreciative of that. So
I wish that were true. Yeah. I mean, you and I think very optimistically, but there was a great article that was recently in the New York Times that said, actually, I might have the article here, but it had something to do like the whole world is being put on unreasonable hold times, and we're all becoming frustrated, and people's tempers are shorter than ever. Mm-hmm. And I believe certain customers, that is absolutely true, while others are recognizing the problems. And then we're all victims of something that's happening in the world today called skimpflation, which is not my term. It's a term that's just been coined back in December on NPR's some business show. Somebody called it skimpflation, where we're forced to skimp on services because we have a labor shortage, cost of goods are rising, and therefore we want to offer the same levels of service, but we're not able to do so. So we become victims of, just not being able to provide what we used to provide. But back to the timing idea, it does drive me crazy when it comes right. I'll do the transaction, if you will, online, and I'm going to call it a transaction, not my favorite word, but that's what happens at that moment. When a moment later I received the survey, but I haven't even received the product yet. So that's kind of crazy. But and then to your thought, there is I'm trying to remember the name of the company that I interviewed. It's actually, I believe their new company name is called Experience. Experience.com is their website. Their idea is in the middle of the experience, you receive surveys. But to make this work, and hotels are a great example, you've got to tell the guest, when you get to the room, we're going to text you a short little survey, because if something's wrong, we want to fix it now, because why live with that while you're here for the next day or 2 or 3 days? And I thought that's a brilliant way of positioning it, but you've got to position it the right way to get the response so that you can fix it. And to your point about still giving a good grade, I believe that if you fix it right, you might even get a higher grade.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. I've definitely had experiences like that personally, and as you can see, and I think the thing with that is, if you're gonna start to do that real time check-in, you're gonna double down on a bad experience if you then, hey, we really care what's wrong, this is wrong, and then that still doesn't get fixed. So again, you've got to be able to, as you spin those programs up and things like that, be able to then resource and deliver. I think it's an excellent way to roll this type of thing out, but you've got to then be able to back that up, as you say, which companies are struggling to do right now because of the labor shortage.
Right. I received an email not that long ago from the CEO of Walgreens. Now, this was not a personal email to me. It was personal to all the customers of Walgreens that are part of their, list. We go to Walgreens, CVS. I mean, but it was really interesting. It started out saying, you spoke and we listened. This is what we heard you saying you wanted in our stores. Here's what's happening. And I kind of like that. Now, maybe that's just a marketing message, but it did make me feel like, oh, wow, they're listening to us collectively as customers. All right. I know we don't have a ton of time left, but I want to ask you this, and by the way, here's a great segue, because what I just mentioned, once you've collected information from your customers, companies need to do something with it. They need to analyze it. They need to use it. They need to make changes with it. How do we communicate back to our customers, or are we properly communicating back with our customers that change is happening?
Yeah, I think that's what we've seen, right? Too many times it feels like we take these surveys and we're just shouting into a void, into a black hole, and not getting back. And I love that Walgreens example in terms of, being able to show consistently, month over month, quarter over quarter, what is the business doing to take on board feedback and listen to its most important constituents, which are the customers. So I think, we've seen companies take the videos and actually leverage them through social, and say, having people that said, hey, this is what we heard from multiple customers. They've shown a couple of video clips, and then they've talked about what they've changed, and just the level of engagement that creates with the brand and belief that the brand is trying to do right by its customers is huge.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent thought. All right, we are coming into the final question, and that is the one thing question. Is there one last nugget of information that you would like to share with us as we exit today's show?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably double down on just the importance of not just listening and measuring, but driving real action. I think that's the biggest challenge for companies right now is, too many of these programs are set up purely to measure, and really we've got to make improvements, and it's tough for people in the CX thing, because it's their role kind of sits across multiple functions, and they've got to drive engagement across those, and then they've not always got the power to drive change, because they're reporting to, hey, the web team, the mobile app's got this problem, or hey, the guest team, this is what customers are saying here. And again, just the best companies in the world are really giving power to that CX, those CX teams to drive change. So yeah, I would double down there.
Yeah, and I would basically, I think what you're saying is that if you get the information, do something with it. In my mind, I see this hamster running on a wheel that's spinning around and around, and that hamster is going nowhere, but expending a tremendous amount of energy. When we take the energy, cost, and effort to get the information back from our customers, yet we do nothing with it, I think we are missing huge opportunity.
1,000%.
Well said. Thank you, Dave, for sharing your insights. What I really love is timing, flexibility on how you get the information back from your customers, and the personalization of the survey. Plus, you surrounded this with many great ideas. I love your solution using video as a medium to survey your customers. It's very personal at the same time. I feel like you're making an even better connection. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it, Shep. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up. Another episode of Amazing Business Radio. We will be back next week with another amazing interview. So until then, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.